Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host Bryan. We're going to continue on with this week's theme of some of y'all's favorites of 2025. Today we're going to be looking at a group, Allegaeon, which we've actually had on the channel before, and if you enjoyed this, they're actually going to be coming back next Tuesday as a special selection too. So I thought that was pretty cool. The timing could have just been just a little bit better, but you know, that's how random things happen. Kind of get some coincidences like this. The track we're going to be looking at though is called Dark Matter Dynamics featuring Adrian Bellue. So let's dive in, see what they're bringing to the table today. Okay, I'm sold already. Lots of energy around the sides.
Primordial black holes, lensing effect, redshift observable, gravimetric, Axion particles, photometric, theta black tentacles.
There's just so much going on. I mean, that volume over there is solid. That rhythmic shift. That's fun. Now this acoustic guitar has been under the entire song. I think I can every once in a while hear its timbre or the percussiveness of its attack. If it's there, it's lost in the mix often, but I think it is. Oh, so good. Nah. Oh, a groove right there. Oh, And the harmonics. Y'all know I love my bass. Y'all hear that? The acoustic guitar back there? Ooh, the bass kicks. Okay. Oh, geez, that is a fun song. It can get a little intense at times. I think you really got to be here for some of the more death metal-y ideas, but I mean, when the groove kicks in, when the melodies kick in, I love the solos, the duets, the acoustic guitar bits, the acoustic guitar and bass bits. I mean, there's so much in here that I can excuse though hitting those peaks that would normally, create a lot of friction between my enjoyment, me and my enjoyment of this track. I can excuse those moments because I know you just got to push through it for a moment, and there's gonna be something cool on the other side. And this song delivered every time, even at the end. I figured, hey, they're gonna end on a big metally note, and the bass kicks. I mean, what were those 30-second notes? I mean, those were fast. We definitely reached a peak of noise of all these guitars playing, the vocalist just screaming, the drummer doing all this stuff, and I was like, okay, this is it. And then still we got a cheeky little groovy acoustic guitar bit right at the end. And so yeah, around every noisy extreme aspect of this, there was something cool on the other side of it worth getting through. Yeah, I enjoyed this. Now, this group doesn't normally have the acoustic guitar, right? That would be Adrian. So I know Allegaeon's been it's been tough for me in the past. I generally enjoy their music, but they, like this track, can really push past where I'm comfortable with metal. So I'm kind of thinking the rest of the album doesn't have what I love about this track. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong in that. If you check this album out and you're like, nah, dude, you love the rest of it, I'll give it a spin. But if the rest of this album doesn't have that sick acoustic guitar work there, it's going to be something I think I reluctantly enjoy because, it still does have the groove and the melody in it. But to me, the peaks were every time we got that acoustic guitar. That was definitely my jam. Speaking of the acoustic guitar, let's kick this off. I love it, man. It is so good. It's got groove. It's got warmth. Dude, the beauty, just the sound of the instrument is so good. But then the playing on it. This is a full guitar performance We have crazy work with the left hand up on the neck. We have crazy work with the right hand, not just with the picking, which I think it's finger picking. There are some places where I'm hearing multiple strings that aren't next to each other being played at the same time or being played in really quick succession, which I guess you could pick that, but it would just be so much easier to have multiple things to pick with, which is where the finger picking comes in. But we also have body hits on the guitar too to create percussive elements within that, which, I mean, the playing itself already has this beautiful percussive attack to it because of the strings, because of probably the thickness of the pick as well, whether that is nails or they're using a traditional pick. It already has a very percussive sound profile to it. But also every once in a while, just, you know, hit the body of the guitar, get that nice wooden thunk in there too. And it helps create the groove because we have all the syncopation in there. We have the percussive elements of playing the instrument, but we also have this very solid backbeat idea coming in from hitting the guitar and creating this more traditional drum sound to it. And, you know, right from the start, I got sucked right into that, dude. It's groovy, it's melodic, it's technical, but digestible. It immediately conveys the dark beauty that the song really focuses in on. And it does a really good job of setting up what this song is going to be, even with the metal bits. It's going to be technical, but digestible. It's going to be groovy, and it's going to have a dark aggression to it, a nice edge with some beautiful melodic work to it. And one instrument pulls that all together at the beginning. Absolutely lovely. And actually, I was quite excited to hear us return to that instrument as a solo later on in the track, because the solo was great. And then we got a duet with the bass, and the bass got a moment to shine. And y'all know I love my bass, and the bass sounds great. Fantastic tone, cool licks, the playfulness between these two instruments. Just a beautiful segment to this track. I'm sold. You know, I don't think I've heard of Adrian Bellue before, but if this is what they play, I'm going to have to track them down. And I guess I'm going to be a bit of a fool if Adrian isn't the acoustic guitar player on this. Y'all let me know. Maybe I'll look it up when I do the lyrics. I mean, that's going to be a bit late anyways, but regardless of who played it, I dug the classical guitar, or the acoustic guitar bits. But I also love how it didn't get left behind. The metal part comes in, we got these driving guitars. They sound gnarly, lots of bite and fuzz and buzz to them, but they're still audible. I can still make out what they're playing despite the largeness. These are gargantuan guitar tones, and yet I can still clearly hear what they're playing. And this actually applies to the vocals too. I made out a few words when I actually was listening to what the vocalist was saying. Good enunciation, good clarity in the production on that. So yeah, clarity in the production is actually a strong one on this. Every element of this sounds good and is audible, despite the fact that we have these ridiculous walls of sound in this track, and yet everything can still be clearly heard by itself. I love it. This is really good, clear production without losing the grit of the metal, you know? It doesn't become clinical, it just becomes clear. It's not muddy. To me, that's where metal really shines. Where metal shines. Oh, jeez, it's terrible. Anyways, we have all this metal stuff going on. It is loud right from the start. I was kind of blown away by just the size of everything, and I kept hearing this sound. What is this? I couldn't really make it out. And eventually I was like, that's gotta be the acoustic guitar. It's got kind of the right coloring to the timbre. It's got the right percussiveness. You're not gonna get that sort of attack from an electric guitar. When we hit the second acoustic guitar highlight with the bass, and then we came into that final metal section and I could still hear the acoustic guitar part. That solidified it for me. The acoustic guitar is present in the entire track. It gets lost in the mix a little bit. There's places where it's tough to still hear it, but they didn't get rid of it. I really appreciate that. There's a lot of music where there are acoustic guitar sections and then it's metal, right? Lots of bands do that. Let's bring the energy down. Let's go to a clean electric or an acoustic. We'll do that for a little bit, but then we got to get the metal in, and metal is not acoustic guitars. But I think this proves that wrong, dude. Acoustic guitars can be metal, they can be groovy, they can be driven, they can sound, well, I think we all knew acoustic guitars could sound great. But I love how it sort of supports underneath this track and still contributes, not just by playing what the electric guitars are playing, but by expanding on it, being a counter to it, ornamental at times, rhythmic juxtaposition at other times. It's just very cool to hear that. I wish it just a little bump up in some places. Some of the sections I could make it out perfectly fine, and given that it is a secondary complementary part to the performance, I thought it was fine that it was de-emphasized in the mix. But there are some sections where it really could have used a little bit of a bump. I mean, the first verse, I didn't even know it was there. I didn't pick up on it until, I don't know, probably about a minute into the first metal section. I was like, there's something there. What is that? Just completely went under my radar. I like that though. More bands should do that. Put some acoustics with your electrics. I bet it's going to sound fire. The rest of this track though, it's aggressive. I think that's the only other thing I really need to bring up on this. The drums are ridiculous, dude. They are putting so many hits within such a small amount of time. How do they play so quickly? And I thought the double bass kick was pretty aggressive at the start, and then those 30 seconds at the end blew me away. The vocals are gnarly. The guitars take up so much space on the sides. It's a tour de force on this. And it's really wild to go from the acoustic guitar to this wall of sound, but I think they did a good job with the mixing of that too. The acoustic guitar could have been quieter in the beginning, and instead it had the illusion of being quieter. If you go back and look at the volume bar over there, or just use your ears too, it's really loud for an acoustic guitar. They really normalized its volume against the full band so that when the full band comes in, it doesn't feel like you're getting punched with all of this sound. It just feels like we're filling out a space that was a little emptier previously. And that's also why the acoustic guitar can keep up with the other instruments when it is supporting them, why it's still audible against all of these massive tones. So there's a lot going on though. It becomes incredibly dense, incredibly intense, and it's got a lot of bite to it, a lot of aggression, but it is super groovy. And I think that sort of fun groovy with the heavy aggression mixes really well and finds a middle point where it's just kind of fun. I wouldn't call this a fun track, but it is kind of fun. And I appreciate that just enough to kind of keep me interested in it without being overly aggressive while still being an extreme song, 100%. But then we get the solos and the duets, and I love these, man. Good melodic flow, good narrative storytelling, good pacing. I love the ways that we'll get a solo and then it'll kind of back off, and then we'll get this stereo duet going on where we got these nice harmonies, and then we'll get the solo in the center, and then we'll come back. We'll have a little bit of counterpoint. We've got two ideas, similar but different on the two guitars, and it all flows too. It's not just, I mean, it is broken up into these boxes, 4 bars of solo, 4 bars of duet, 4 bars. It becomes predictable in that pattern, but it's not like we're jarringly being shifted from a single guitar to a dual guitar focus. They feel like it's a natural extension of where that melody was going anyways. And the entire solo is just a joy to be on. I don't know that it gave me any strong artistic narrative or anything like that. It's not like it was going to move me to tears, but it's just incredibly well done, like a solid, summer blockbuster, a good set piece to an action film or a roller coaster. Something that's just high energy, high octane, technical and impressive and fun. Not necessarily mind blowing, but still really engaging and a good time to listen to. And it fits with the rest of the track, which honestly, that's a pretty good description for this song. It isn't mind blowing. It isn't really doing anything that I haven't heard somewhere before. It is iterative, but it is still very fun. Good production, good groove, good riffs, and just a solid track overall. I can easily see why someone would enjoy this. Particularly though, I'm curious about if your enjoyment of this improves. Nah, actually it probably does. I was going to say if it improves if you enjoy death metal. It probably does though. Yeah. But I think this is a track that can pull in a non-death metal audience. And while I think the more extreme parts may push people away a little more than it would me, I still think that the acoustic guitar work and the melodic work are going to bring in some people who are already metal familiar, but not someone who typically listens to death metal or anything this extreme. Let me check out some lyrics for this and then we're going to wrap this one up. All right. I feel a little better because I see that Adrian is the acoustic guitarist here. I don't feel, I mean, it wouldn't have affected the analysis, but sometimes it's just, it's not a great idea to be up here and spout something off when you could just look it up. I try not to look like an idiot up here. Uninformed musically sometimes, yeah, but like a fact like that, probably should have just looked it up anyways. But you know what? It worked out in the end. Now, as for the lyrics, this is more of a fantastical way to describe a black hole. The chorus says, "Phantom wraith of light, the warping of space-time, a ghost of gravity, the universe alive, a specter made of night, devouring all light, where questions roam with answers clandestine." Clandestine? Clandestine. There we go. I couldn't make it roll right because I was emphasizing the wrong syllable. So we have this description of an energy source where it bends reality, bends time, and also absorbs light. It is made of darkness. I'm like 90% sure we're describing a black hole as an entity within space rather than a phenomenon. And I think from that perspective, it's pretty cool, but that's kind of all I get out of that. I don't get much out of the rest though. I think it's too sciencey, it goes over my head. The verses just sort of list science things. I guess more physics things, space physics things. I don't know. I don't recognize most of these words. It says subatomic, primordial black holes, primordial black holes. Okay. So it is kind of presenting this space god black hole parallel even right from the start. Lensing effect, redshift observable, gravimetric, axion particles, photometric, vantablack tentacles, baryonic, discordant cosmic shores, atoms neglect, the revenant ignores, non-luminous thermal velocity, spiral galaxies, endless dark energy. I don't know enough of that vocabulary to draw a conclusion between all of that. I have to assume these are words that are associated with black holes some way. The chorus that comes after is very clear though, and we don't really get much beyond that. We have a simple two-line phrase, anomalous mechanics, dark matter dynamics. I assume this also deals with black holes. And then the ghost of gravity, spinning seas of dark energy. Pretty sure that's also black holes. And then we also see the phrase Wraith of Light pop up a couple of times before running back into the chorus to wrap the track up. So I think I get the gist of it, but I certainly, it's more of an assumption here because half of this goes right over my head. I'm a musician, man, not a scientist. But does it go with the music? I guess. I think the lyrics are more serious than the music can be, but I think the overwhelming density of the music pairs well with the concept of black holes. These are just my thoughts, though. What do you think of Dark Matter Dynamics from Allegaeon featuring Adrian Bellue? Do you enjoy this? Is there anything that stood out to you? Anything that you would like to add on to what I talked about, or maybe correct me on if I misspoke on something? Let me know. If you have a different perspective or opinion on this, if you want to inform me about some of the physics stuff in there, let me know. Put all that and anything else that you would like to add into the comment section below. Above that, in the description box is a link to Linktree. It takes you here. You can find links to my music, ways to support the channel, a link to the Discord server, and so much more. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three. That wraps it up for today. I'll be back tomorrow, though, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. UTC as usual. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.